Starting today, 8,000 Amazon warehouse workers on Staten Island will begin voting on whether they want to form a union.
You make Amazon $638 million a day. It's time we get paid our fair share.
We'd love to start kind of like origin story and kind of how this group came together. And Chris, kind of what led you to trust your, I will call it collaborators, if you call them that. If you could walk us through the backstory there.
Yeah, sure. I met Chris in 2020, shortly after he was fired, through some local organizing networks in Los Angeles. Chris had formed an organization called the Congress of Essential Workers, and they were going around the country protesting at Jeff Bezos's many mansions, one of which at the time was right here in Beverly Hills. And so our initial connection was really through organizing and movement work, and started thinking about and developing a project, and building that relationship for about 8 months before we felt like we were ready to bring on a team. But it was really rooted in solidarity and movement work from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And I think the trust piece can maybe be articulated in just this idea that we spent about 300 days on the ground with the ALU and filmed with them as they went through all manner of challenges, all kinds of weather, and it was a pretty formidable experience to bear witness to. And I think when you show up with your camera day after day, it earns the trust, because I think they started to believe that we really understood on a very minute level all of the things that they were going through. So also I got to say, just a really incredible act of forward thinking to say, you know what, win or lose, the public should see this, that this is going to be meaningful, to show that workers are not willing to be told that they are essential and treated as expendable, and that they could be, in fact, the catalyst of change that they wanted.
Right. Chris, can you talk a little bit about, loaded question, but like the experience for you in leading this movement and then having it become a film, and what it's been like for you? Because we do see the ups and downs, and we do get kind of a positive lift at the end, but I know there's always more work to do.
Oh yeah, thank you. This was obviously something that was unprecedented, to have a film crew at an Amazon warehouse in Staten Island, aka the Forgotten Borough. But I came as is, as a supervisor working for the company. What you see is what you get. I was well known throughout the company, and when they fired me, catapulted me into the media spotlight. Obviously, they put a target and a spotlight on me, and then they doubled down, with a leaked memo that specifically said to make me the face of the whole unionizing efforts. So with all that attention that I garnished from the media alone, I want to continue that, that wave of media attention. And the only way we were going to be able to tell our story authentically and truthfully was going to have it being documented and put it into a film. Or, at the time, we don't know what project may have came from this, but we knew that we were doing something special and something different. Who takes on a $1 trillion company every day? Nobody, really. But in this fashion, in the 21st century, to put this out there to the world, I thought it was very much needed. And, I'm very proud that I was able to not only work alongside everybody, but just also be inspired by everybody that you've seen in the film. They motivated me internally to continue getting up and leading the way, knowing that they put their trust in me.
I'm sure filming for so long, nothing surprised you at the end, but were there certain things that just like shocked you in the behaviors?
$14 million of anti-union campaigning.
Jeez.
And for an organization to have beat a company with a crowd-funded budget of about $125,000 was staggering. But when you think about, the declining union density in this country over the last 50 years, I think we have to consider that that is a result of a kind of political process, but also a version of capitalism that we are seeing that allows companies to regularly hire these kinds of labor consulting firms to not just tamp down, but to actually shift the narrative of what it means to be a part of a union, to shift and actually manipulate the narrative of what it means to have somebody represent you, have a community that looks out and cares for you. And I think that this is the moment that we live in, that this is a fight about competing narratives. And so this is why it was so meaningful to us as a film team to not only gain their trust, but for them to understand and believe that, win or lose, this was going to be so important, and that all of the hardship would speak to the magnitude of the challenge that organizers and workers have to confront.
Chris, for you, are there things that kept you going, or kind of how you fought any demons and, I can't give up, or what happens if we do?
Oh, I fought many of them. I definitely had the moments where I'm like, in my head, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
But, I knew how important my presence was to lead by example and show up for these workers, even in time of doubt. For me, no matter what we were going through, my number one goal was to try to, keep everything together, keep everything grounded, keep everybody focused. And once again, lead by example by showing up, which was the first hard thing to do, especially after being at work for 10 to 12 hours or being at the tent to 10 to 12 hours. To show up the very next day or to not leave at all. There's been plenty of times where we had to do 24 hours, or I might have been out there for 30 something hours. And, those type of sacrifices is what it took to actually, become victorious. And, do I have any regrets about it? No, I absolutely cherish those moments, because those conversations, those are the same ones that I used to hear when I worked at the company. It's just that now there's a different solution. When you work at the company, there's only two things. You deal with management or you don't. You quit or you get fired. Those are the only two options at Amazon. But now to actually say, here's a group of people, here's a union, here's representation, here's your wine garden rights, here's a safe haven for you to come out here and express everything you've been going through throughout the day. If we can help you in any type of way, we're absolutely going to do it. To say that, it felt good to do that every single day, no matter what.
Where are we now with, Chris, your work, and kind of how can we, as audience members, how can we support the film? How can we support the movement? What should we all do next? What are you all doing next?
My last assignment that I did before I left my post as the union's president, I signed an affiliation with one of the most powerful unions in the country, the Teamsters. And this agreement now gives us resources that we never had before. We have full autonomy. We have free jurisdiction to organize, nationwide. And now we have, more legal resources financially. We have strike benefits that we can offer to the members now for the first time ever. We're able to offer these members $1,000 a week to potentially go on a strike. As the founder now, I'm planting the seeds about this nationwide strike, potentially internationally as well, because I'm doing a lot of international travel, meeting with a lot of unions from around the world. And there's other unions for Amazon. Believe it or not, Amazon's been unionized for over a decade in France and Italy and Germany and other countries. So it's not like it's an impossible task for it to have a nationwide contract. We just have to continue building up and planting the seeds here in America, and hopefully one day, not too far out, we'll be able to call a nationwide strike so that these workers can get their first contract.
For you both, what else can we do to support the film? How do you feel about how different this experience has been versus some of the other films you've made? And again, I was saying there's a longer tail with this one because there's still things in progress.
Yeah, I'll just say, I think one of the things we experienced and documented in this film is just how disorganizing the systems that we live under are. And I think the way forward for us individually, for us with this film, for the labor movement, is to be organized. And that involves talking to people you know, you work with, you are neighbors with. It's the way that we're thinking about getting the film out to audiences, and really throughout the whole process of making the film, really taking our cues from the organizing efforts of Chris and the ALU. And the film, I think, is complex. There's not like a simple call to action here. It's much more a personal transformation of what does it mean and look like to be organized and to actually fight for and arrive in the future that we so desperately need.
Yeah. Well, we can all spread the word in the meantime, yeah? I thank you all for your time, for your incredible work in the face of absolutely insane odds. And I thank all you for sticking around. This is, again, great use of your time. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.